The reviews are in for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2, and some people got some very interesting things to say about it. I say that not have reading any of these reviews yet. I haven't read a single one, but I've seen a 100, I've seen a 60, so I think it's always interesting to go through these reviews and just kind of see what people's general consensus is on the game and how they're feeling about it, because, well, I always think that that's interesting, and this game has been a long time coming. It's been quite a while since they announced this game. It's been like 8 or 9 years since this has been announced. So I think the expectation is kind of really up there. People are like, they've been waiting for this for a long time, and because of that, it's gotta be good, right? Well, let's find out. So as we can see, the general store score is 81. Not bad. 81 is a pretty decent game. I would say it's worth picking up if it's an 81. Of course, all these reviews are subjective or objective or whatever the word is. So obviously, depends on what you like, what you don't like in a video game. But I'd say so far, an 81 is about what I'd expect. Now, for me personally, before we even get into these reviews, I've always had a little bit of a mixed opinion on the Metroid Prime games, and really just any Metroid game. Maybe it's because my brain is just a little bit, I don't know, a little small or something. I always have found it difficult to actually understand and figure some of these games out. I always feel like I have a tutorial out. Now, again, maybe I'm just not keeping track of what I need to be doing, or maybe I'm just, again, a little bit slow in the head, but regardless, that's just always how it is for me. I am always having to have a guide out. I really like the 2D Metroid games. I think Metroid Dread is my favorite 2D Metroid game ever, and I really enjoyed it. I still did have to have a little bit of a guide out every once in a while, but it's really fun just kind of going through the entire game, upgrading your gear, figuring out new levels, and then, going back and unlocking stuff with some of the unique new abilities you have. And Metroid Prime, the 3D Metroid, is generally the same thing, just in 3D. And so it should be known that I only played Metroid Prime Remaster. That was my first Metroid Prime experience. And that being said, I thought it was okay. I think I played probably 75% of the game, and then I never really finished it. I thought the backtracking was a little bit much. I found it, again, pretty difficult to just kind of get through and understand where I was going. The game did have some new, unique beginner modes to it, like it would tell you where to go if you didn't know where to go, but then sometimes it just wouldn't. So it's kind of confusing to understand, especially if you're just coming at it and just going ham. But overall, I get the hype. I get why these are really good games. And I'm just excited to try and really dig deep into Metroid Prime 4, and I hope that a lot of the issues I had with it, with like getting lost and backtracking and stuff, are kind of resolved. I know it's a Metroid game at the end of the day, so it's going to have Metroid stylized stuff, but regardless, let's just go through some of these reviews. My apologies for yapping so much about this game already before we even get into the reviews. So yes, once again, it landed at 81, which is about what I expected, I would say. We'll start off with some pretty good ones. We got a total of 3 100s. That is just crazy. That's good news to me. Let's look at the very top one. Nintendo Rose. Sure. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is without a doubt the return that fans of the saga have been wanting for almost a decade. Retro Studios has perfectly balanced the classic essence of Metroid Prime with innovations that revitalize the experience, delivering an adventure that, while accessible to new players, maintains the challenge and depth that defines the franchise. The game's unique atmosphere, the richness of its world, and its gameplay, deeply integrated with exploration and combat mechanics, make this installment something truly special. Alright, so kind of like I was saying already, I'm really liking it's accessible to new players. Now, I'm not a new player technically, but the fact that it's a little bit more accessible for folk like me, that tells me good things. That means it's going to be a little bit handholdy, which, I mean, say what you will, maybe you don't like a little bit of handholdiness in your games. I do, because it makes me not frustrated when I play that game. Alright, PC Mag with a 100 also says, gorgeous, highly entertaining, and a thrill to unravel. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on Switch 2 is the best single-player shooter in years, and a triumph for gaming's coolest heroine. That's a weird word. That's a real Weird word. I apologize. I'm a little sick today. You might be able to hear it in my voice, and it's also clearly affecting my brain as well. We got a review from Giant Bomb, also at a 100, says, despite a few tweaks and new features, motion controls, psychic powers, a non-linear hub world, and the occasional side character, this is Metroid Prime through and through. It's without a doubt the coolest the series has ever felt to the original Metroid Prime in terms of tone, gameplay, and quality. Time will tell where I place Metroid Prime 4 in the ranking of the overall series, but fresh off my first playthrough, I feel comfortable putting it among the likes of Super Metroid and the original Metroid Prime. It's the best Switch 2 title yet. Woo! Whoa! Okay, alright, and I have to imagine that fans of the series will find themselves captivated by Metroid Prime 4. So right there you got 3 very glowing reviews. It's always difficult, I think, for me to rank a game a 100 or a 10 of 10. I have the Russ Vandy game gauge, where I rank games on my main channel. I just can't understand what a 10 of 10 game is. Like, I think 10 of 10 games are so hard to come by, and the fact that people are rating them, this game 10 of 10 is pretty crazy, pretty fun. I would say the closest I've got to ranking a game on Switch 2 a 10 of 10 was Kirby Air Riders, and I think probably on the Switch 1, I would have to give Super Smash Bros. Ultimate a 10 of 10 as well. There's always something you might not like about a game, but overall, that's it. I mean, oh yeah, that's just how it is. All right, Nintendo Life, it's always fun reading their reviews. After 18 years of waiting, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond manages to replicate that magical sense of discovery from the GameCube original while pushing the series in some incredible new directions. Separating the main biomes with a vast open world sounds ridiculous on paper, but the slick traversal provided by Viola makes exploration more satisfying than ever. Combine this with the stunning art direction, ferocious new boss characters, and surprisingly endearing squad of Federation troopers, and Beyond is quite possibly the boldest, most well-realized Metroid game to date. Make no mistake, the long wait has been more than worth it. Welcome back, Samus. Nintendo Life gave him a 90. Again, a really good review. Clearly, it seems that if you like the original Metroid games, the Metroid Prime games, you're probably gonna like this. Let's go down a little bit further. Let's see what we got going on here. Gamer.no gives it an 80 and says, though Metroid Prime 4 doesn't quite surpass its predecessors, it offers solid old-school puzzle exploration while suffering from a few pacing issues in the last chapters. That's interesting. Doesn't quite surpass its predecessors. I mean, obviously, the predecessors were really good. You would think that a brand new game would learn from the old games. You would think. So I guess we'll have to see. The few pacing issues in the last chapters, that's always the worst. When there's pacing issues near the end, that happens so often in so many games. I don't even know how long this game is supposed to be. Screen Rant says Metroid Prime 4 dips and dives so often you won't be stuck in a section you aren't enjoying for long, which is kind of a contradiction to the previous review we just read. But I digress. Let's keep going. We'll go down to a 70 review. 70 reviews, they're a little more honest, I would say. So let's look at Game Radar Plus here. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is finally here after an 18-year wait. At its best moments, it feels like no time has passed at all, as I'm awed by the melancholy and mysterious vibes of this exploration-focused FPS. But at many other moments, it's bogged down by odd new features that detract from what's almost one of Samus's best. Being so close to the greatness can sometimes be a bitterness feeling of all. I don't really think that says much about why this is a 70. It's bogged down by odd new features that detract from what's almost one of Samus's best. Like that. Okay, what's bogging it down though? I don't actually know. Obviously, this is just a summary of the full review, which I could read the full review of. I'm not going to do that here today, but it's interesting seeing that. And now we are in the lowest scores, which is 60. 60 happened to be the lowest score. Not as low as I've seen before, but 60. Let's have a look at them. See why these people rated it so low. Eurogamer says Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is enjoyable enough and has glimpses of vintage Metroid shining through, but this game could and should have been so much more. Again, doesn't really say much. Let's keep going. Inverse says, ultimately, much of Metroid Prime 4 feels like a failed experiment. Oof, that hurts. As great as it is to explore the lightning-struck Volt Forge or pick through the haunted remains of the Ice Belt facility, the game's standout moments are buried in drudgery. What a fascinating little word that they used there. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me new words today. And finally, Gaming Bible says, as the biggest Metroid Prime game to date, yet it's fallen into the trap that many open world games succumb to, an overwhelmingly feeling of emptiness. The actual levels themselves are good, look great, but are dragged down by the interfering NPCs and linear layouts that defeat the point of a Metroidvania entirely. So this is actually probably the best low score in explaining in the summary. Like, it kind of explains what they don't like very seamlessly. So I think one big thing about the open worldness of it is, as we know, if you've seen the trailer, the open world that you drive Viola on is kind of like, it's kind of barren. I do understand that, and I would totally understand someone saying it feels overwhelmingly empty, as they say here. The actual levels themselves are good, look great, but are dragged down by interfering NPCs. So that's another thing that we've heard kind of during the initial play test, or, you know, some people can go get invited to play these games, and I heard a lot of people saying the NPCs were really odd. They kind of are like the tutorial and help you out through the game. They add a little bit more depth of the story, and yeah, I can see people liking that. I can see why people wouldn't like that. I actually think I would like it because it kind of adds a little bit more depth to the story, and it makes me a little bit more invested into these people and the environments around Samus and how Samus interacts with people. So again, this is all to taste. If you don't like Metroidvanias to include NPCs, then this probably isn't for you, or Metroidvanias at all. However, if you like Metroid at all, I mean, it seems to be a good time. Seems to be a fun little game that you could play through and understand. I'm definitely excited to pick it up on December 4th, along with the epic Silex amiibo. Oh my goodness, the amiibo! I'm just so excited for it. Man, I'm really unsure if I'm going to do a full-blown review on it on the main channel, because I find that these games are, I don't know, a little more complicated for me to comprehend, as I've made it very clear. But yeah, stay tuned to the main channel. I might do a quick review on it. I don't even know yet, but stay tuned. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think it's going to be ranked at when you play it, or when you're done playing it. Have a good rest of your day. Do the liking and subscribing. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers at the time of recording this, so that's pretty hype if I do say so myself. All right, I'll see you in the next one. See you later.